Hello and welcome to another Pioneer video. Some of you might have seen my other video earlier this week where I was playing the Junt Oops All Lurgoyf deck in Historic, and some of the comments were a little sad that I left out Cosmogoyf in that deck. Well, this list is for you, as Cosmogoyf is our centerpiece. This 2-mana elemental Lurgoyf has power equal to the number of cards we own in exile, and its toughness is equal to that number +1. And in Pioneer we have access to Demonic Bargain, a 3-mana sorcery, exiling the top 13 cards of our library, and then we get to search our remaining library for any card and put it into our hand. So a turn 2 Cosmogoyf into a turn 3 Demonic Bargain results in a 13-powered Cosmogoyf, and we also get to tutor up whatever we want. Maybe we get another Demonic Bargain, so on the following turn we can make a 26-powered Cosmogoyf, or we can find a Temur Battle Rage, assuming we didn't exile both copies, and then we can give a creature double strike until end of turn, and since we'll also have Ferocious enabled, it also gains Trample until end of turn. So with a double strike and Trample, we essentially have 26 damage coming the opponent's way, which will usually be enough to end the game on the spot. So that's the main combo we're trying to work around, and then we've included it in this red-black mid-range shell, which has proven to be quite effective in the format as well. Staple cards like Fable of the Mirror Breaker, which is perfect for assembling these various combo pieces as we get to loot through the deck with Chapter 2. The extra mana from the Goblin Shaman token can also come in handy, and then the Reflection of Kiki Jiki also plays well with Cosmogoyf if we have multiple cards in exile, also plays well with the Blood Tithe Harvester, which gives us a creature that's also doubling up as removal, and the blood tokens also give us some card selection. And then we also have the classic 1-mana interaction, Thoughtseize for hand disruption, Fatal Push for spot removal, also plays well with all the blood tokens and treasure tokens we can generate to enable Revolt. And then I'm also complementing those with Torch the Tower, since the format, especially in Best of 1, tends to have a lot of aggressive red decks that want to go all in on their creatures with a bunch of pump spells. You're probably familiar with the Leyline of Resonance builds, so then Torch the Tower can be a great answer. And then at 2 mana, I'm also playing Blade of the Oni, as it synergizes with the Unholy Annex, which we can play on turn 3, and then if we control a demon, we get to drain the opponent for 2 while gaining 2, otherwise we would be losing 2 life each turn in addition to drawing a card. And then the Ritual Chamber for 5 mana can make a 6/6 Flying Demon token, which can also help enable the Annex in the first place. And then rounding things out, we also have a one-off Graveyard Trespasser, which can also maybe exile creatures from our own graveyard to help grow Cosmogoyf, but it also gives us access to a bit of graveyard hate in case we need to tutor it up with our Demonic Bargain if we're up against a graveyard combo deck, so that can also come in handy. But of course, there's always a chance that we randomly exile our one-off creature that we're trying to find with Demonic Bargain, so it is a bit of a double-edged sword, but I also don't want to overdo it and include too many Trespassers, since we already have a lot of 3-drops as is. But of course there's a lot of ways you can configure the deck, lots of one-offs you could try and include to try and find with Demonic Bargain, but you always run the risk of exiling them. And then the mana base has a good mix of shock lands, the Verge lands that are pretty recent, as well as the fast lands which we can play early, especially the black ones are good to cast an early Fatal Push or Thoughtseize without having to take a million damage. So yeah, that's our deck. Now let's jump into some games and see how the deck does. Okay, we're on the play. We have Cosmogoyf into Demonic Bargain. No 1-mana interactions, the only drawback, but still gotta try. And then we'll see if we want to play Harvester first. Still need a 3rd land, of course. Alright, opponent kept up a red mana, so it's possible they have a burn spell for Cosmogoyf, which we can sort of play around by just casting the Bargain first, and then for now, Harvester is still a fine play if it soaks up a burn spell, or it can maybe take out an opposing creature later. Alright, Burst Lightning it is. Also not opposed to playing Fable, so we've got a few options here. Probably not going to need a 3rd Cosmogoyf, so I can bargain, just basically try and find a green land, and then next turn play 2 giant Goyfs. That might not be a bad plan. Or we can go for Fable, the token might get answered, but then I'm more likely to be able to double spell a couple of Goyfs. I think I like just going for Bargain, because against the red deck we just need one large Goyf to survive, pretty much. So I may not need the Temur Battle Rage. So I can get an untapped green source. Thornspire Verge should be online. And doesn't cost me any life. And then we get to play a pair of 13 powered Goyfs next turn. Yeah, we also exiled both Battle Rages, so couldn't select one anyway. Alright, Screaming Nemesis could be an issue if they keep it back on defense. So we might have to find an answer for it. Although Fatal Push with a Blood Token would be good enough. And we still have 2 Fatal Pushes left. Nemesis attacking, so maybe if they have another one they can play second main. Yep. Alright, land is good. So, yeah, if I can bargain, leaving a black mana, find Fatal Push. Although even just casting the bargain would grow both Goyfs to be lethal. But with a Fatal Push it would be a little easier. And there's the push. Sack my blood token. Revolt has been enabled. Clear your Nemesis. And attack for 50 plus damage. And that'll do it. Awesome. On to the next one. Okay, we're on the play. We have a hand that's relying on Fable to help us out. Yeah, it's not amazing, but if we draw the Annex, we have a Demon. We've got 2 into 3 on the play. On the draw, I might actually have to mulligan this since we don't have any cheap interaction and we could get run over. On the play, it might work out. Alright, opponent's the red-white tokens deck, probably. There's Cosmogoyf. Could still play the Blade first. I mean, this deck doesn't really have any removal, as far as I know. So maybe I'm okay just playing the Cosmogoyf early. And then next turn Fable, look for Demonic Bargain. So our opponent might have the Gleeful Demolition here to blow up an artifact, make 3 goblins, and then they can still convoke. So yeah, that's the scary start whenever they draw the Demolition. That's the key card in that deck. Thoughtseize is a bit late to the party. Could still cast it to try and take away one of their Anthem effects, like the one giving all creatures 1 extra power and haste, which could potentially present lethal already. But my only hope at this point is Demonic Bargain. Because if I Fable, next turn I could Bargain, and with the extra treasure from the Shaman I could still Battle Rage and present lethal. So I think that's my only hope here. I'm also gonna have to take 2 off Stomping Ground. Third land, do they have a Recruiter? Not yet. Yeah, gotta take it, since I'm relying on the Shaman to survive. So we're at 5. Another Inspector. Alright, so it could still happen if we draw Demonic Bargain. Thoughtseize definitely has to go, and then Blade doesn't seem needed. We actually got there. Well, let's see if there's any interaction now. So I can Demonic Bargain. Already have the Battle Rage, so it's just about exiling 13 cards. Can maybe find a land that doesn't deal me 2 damage. Yeah, none of this really matters. Go to attackers. Opponent's gonna jump. And hopefully this works. Alright, 13 double strike trample. Gets the job done. Alright, that was impressive. On to the next one. Alright, we're on the draw with a functional hand. Can torch on 1. Turn 2 can play either Cosmogoyf or Harvester, and then Trespasser is a slow way to grow Cosmogoyf. Ooh, the hexproof deck. Alright, Thoughtseize is probably going to be more useful than Torch right now. So we can cast that one. Let's see. Yeah, Blooming Marsh is fine. Can still play Harvester or Cosmogoyf with it next turn. Opponent is running Sheltered by Ghosts, which, yeah, is a card that's very effective against us when paired with a hexproof creature. Staggering Insight's going to be very good too. So I can take the Insight and then not present any threats for a while. Or I can take the Sheltered by Ghosts, but the problem is we don't have Bargain to combo with Cosmogoyf just yet. So I might have to take the Insight first, because if they get ahead on cards, they can find more auras. Although if I do take Sheltered by Ghosts, I guess we can just block Gladecover Scout with a Harvester next turn. Yeah, it's a slippery slope either way. But yeah, Torture Tower's not going to be very effective. So they get to draw. They'll have seen 3 new cards by the time they get to attack again, so they will probably have found more auras. And it doesn't take much here. The resolve results in a fight. They get to attack and draw again. They also had an Audacity. Yeah, it's tough. If we're on the play and get to Thoughtseize the Gladecover Scout, we can potentially still answer the Toadstool Admirer with the Torture Tower. So now I get to play Trespasser, exile my own Harvester, and then pretty much hope for a Demonic Bargain to combo with Cosmogoyf. That's our only hope. Now opponent can make their Admirer unblockable. So yeah, can only chump the Scout, which I'm not quite interested in. Fable could be worth it here, and then technically I can double block the Scout. Seems better than trying to Torture Tower and pay the ward on Admire. They could also have some other instant speed aura that they're hanging on to. Uh-oh, they drew something. Breeding Pool untapped. Does not bode well. Curious Obsession. Alright, so at least we held the Scout back. And Admire we can potentially still torch. So maybe we still have a chance. As we draw another Cosmogoyf. 1 torch can go, and then probably ditch the second Goyf as well. Currently only a 1-2. If I discard a Goyf, there's a chance I'll eventually exile it with Trespasser to grow the other one, but we're mostly looking for Demonic Bargain. Alright, there it is. So now I can go for the combo of Goyf plus Bargain, or I can take this opportunity to torch the Admirer. They do have 4 mana available to put a counter on it, but I can sack a blood token to Bargain. So I can even pass a turn to let it switch to nighttime, and then still torch, pay the ward, and then I suppose I can even play a Cosmogoyf alongside it. to set up something for next turn. We'll keep it daytime, of course. Alright, so no attacks. Opponent's gonna activate. I can now torch without bargain. Keep the blood token. Alright, so I'm glad they diversified instead of going all in on the scout. Although, now they gave it flying. So we fall to 1. Alright, still have a chance with Goyf if we find Temur Battle Rage with the bargain. Other opponent is at 31, so a long way to go here. So we have Battle Rage left. I imagine that's my only hope here. So I can go to attackers, Trespasser exiles my Cosmogoyf. So it grows the one in play. And yeah, opponent scoops it up. They weren't necessarily dead, but as soon as we cast Battle Rage, they will be. And that'll do it. On to the next one. Okay, we're on the play. Our hand is missing a green for Cosmogoyf. Just Fatal Push into Annex. In some matchups that might be good enough. I'll try. Just play tap Blood Crypt. Opponent blue-red, maybe a Phoenix deck. So then I don't really want to play Cosmogoyf until it's large enough to survive a Lightning Axe. And yeah, Cutter's going to be an issue. But for now, we'll get the Annex going. Torture Tower, a good answer to an Arclight Phoenix. And for now, at least, they're not triggering the Cutter. Alright, so could go for second Annex, keep up Torch. It's really my only option. So probably push the Monk token, keep Torch for Phoenix. Alright, they're also running Vivi. Now I could Torch sacking a enchantment here. It's probably worth it to deal with Vivi before it goes off even more. Next turn I could enable Revolt if I, for instance, sacrifice something to the Torture Tower, but I think I would rather just avoid that whole mess. And unless we got a demon in play, we were going to start losing a lot of life to double Annex anyway. So that works. Do we want to draw Harvester? I could play it alongside a Fable. Might still be better off making a demon token, hope they can bounce it. I don't think I need Harvester. I think I really need to find Demonic Bargain to get the game over with. Alright, Blade gives us a cheap demon for Annex at least. So, could you just go Fable plus Blade? Still gonna take a beating from Steel Cutter. Or I could keep up Push. Then it would just be Blade, Push, play a tap land. That's not too exciting. So, yeah, hopefully we don't die here. Our opponent hasn't seen any of our green mana yet, so they might think we're just typical black-red midrange. Probably gonna discard Eclipse to Chapter 2. Impulse takes care of our Blade. So we're taking at least 5. And make that 7. I'll take it. And there's a Demonic Bargain. So 1 Battle Rage can certainly go, and then the Cliffs. Alright, so... yeah, we're definitely in a bit of a pickle here, not having the Cosmogoyf in play yet. I can grow it with a Demonic Bargain, but I don't see how we survive the incoming attack, especially with Annex putting us to 4. So then what's my best hope? I still need to deploy the Cosmogoyf. It needs to not die to another Fiery Impulse, which our opponent could also get back with a talent. So yeah, we're probably dead. Maybe I should just keep a push and then make a demon with Ritual Chamber, so we don't get drained by the Annex. And then probably keep the Shaman on defense, since the extra mana wouldn't help. Sure. And then I gotta make sure to leave up black. I mean, I could still attack and maybe draw into Torch the Tower or Fatal Push. Don't know if that's worth it. And I didn't end up drawing into one. But I was gonna stock up again. So they've seen a lot of cards this game. Yeah, if we had 1 extra turn to set up, we can maybe steal it with Cosmogoyf and Battle Rage. But we're just under too much pressure. And they also had the Floodmaw, so that also would have been a perfect answer to a large Cosmogoyf. So yeah, this one seems tough. And the Cutter just providing too much value. Don't have a clean answer other than Thoughtseize to take it before it hits the battlefield. GG's. Jump a Monk. Push another one. And then we still take 7. So if they have any 1 mana instant, we're dead. And they had a Spell Pierce as well. Alright, GG's. On to the next one. Okay, we're on the play. We are missing green mana for Cosmogoyf, but we have Harvester in the meantime. Can play Annex for card advantage facing Yorion, so usually a more controlling strategy. I think we still keep. Can use a blood token to hit our land drops if we're about to miss it. Maybe we don't need Battle Rage. Found a Blooming Marsh, so got a few options now. Could just play Cosmogoyf next turn Bargain, hope it resolves, or we can take a slower approach. So it does seem to be blue-white control. Yeah, I mean, if Bargain gets countered, that's too bad. If they remove Cosmogoyf, if it's a Get Lost, it could also destroy the Annex. So, yeah, not a straightforward decision. I think I do try and go for the higher upside play. Alright, they are playing green as well. So do we try Bargain? Do we try Annex? I am expecting some interaction here. So, yeah, maybe we just go for Bargain, force them to have an answer already. That resolves. We already have a Battle Rage in hand. So I can get another Cosmogoyf. I could get a Thoughtseize to check for removal. Although they might fire one off right now. Yeah, I guess I don't hit Thoughtseize. Could also get another Bargain to maybe string those together. So they didn't have an answer to Cosmogoyf right now. Opponent ramps with a Growth Spiral. So even if they present a blocker with Battle Rage, we can easily get past it. Opponent draws with Quantum Riddler. And Charming Prince is gonna flicker it to keep it in play. So that's the synergy they're going for. Alright, so Battle Rage should take this. Can also Thoughtseize just to double check. But there's no free spells to worry about. So Vestige, another card they want to flicker. Destroy Evil. they might have drawn into here, and then a Dovin's Veto. So can go ahead and attack. Opponent's probably gonna just chump with a Charming Prince, and then we get to trample for lots of damage. Alright, so sometimes you do get rewarded for just going for it. On to the next one. Okay, we're on the play with a very red-black mid-range coded hand, but that's not always a bad place to be. Can keep up push, turn 2 Harvester, turn 3 probably Fable. Opponent on Mana Confluence, usually points towards combo. And they seem to have a 1 mana instant. Right, Portable Hole deals with Harvester. And no second land. Alright, so can just play Fable. Might not be a matchup where we need our removal spells. Now Mutavault into Emery. Alright, so maybe more of an artifact deck. So see Steel Cutter, Mox Jasper, so this could be some sort of combo deck with the Jeskai Ascendancy trying to untap Emery, although Mutavault is maybe a bit out of place there. So either way, discard Cliffs, and then, yeah, maybe just keep the Torch, which cleanly answers Emery. Could also discard 2 lands since we're getting a treasure. And then I can Torch, attack, and still play Trespasser. And then the treasures are perfect for enabling Revolt as well. And then since they're playing Emery, all their artifacts are valuable. So, given that they have double cutter, maybe go for Mox Jasper first. They're probably just running it as a free artifact. Alright, so we've got some pressure now. Opponent's got another Emery. We can hit it with Fatal Push. And yeah, there's the Ascendancy. As well as a Cauldron, so opponent's going pretty deep. But Ascendancy is an incredibly scary card when it goes uncontested. Could also take my draw step first, to be honest. But maybe this makes it easier to switch it to nighttime for the Trespasser. So we can attack. Trespasser might want to go for Emery, in case they play Cauldron, so they can't copy the ability either. And then it might be worth it to play the Cosmogoyf, even though it's pretty small. If I let it switch to nighttime, we get a 4/4, so maybe that's more useful here. Yeah, let's just pass, or I can sack the blood token and then discard Cosmogoyf. See if we find something useful. Demonic Bargain would have been a nice follow-up to a Cosmogoyf, I guess. Alright, we'll let it switch to nighttime, and then next turn I can maybe bargain, get Temur Battle Rage, and then using it on the Glutton can get the game over with. Now the Puzzle Door. Into another Emery, so they had 3. I'm glad we kept our removal spells. So this is going to switch back to daytime since our opponent cast 2 spells. But I think we'll still have it next turn with Reflection copying Trespasser as well. Alright, so make sure to enable Revolts. And then just activating here should do it. Exile Emery. And attack. There's a few more creatures. Alright, sweet. On to the next one. Okay, we're on the play. We have Demonic Bargain, so that can find a Cosmogoyf. Got some cheap interaction, Harvester, so overall a keepable hand, even if it's not perfect. And then I can probably afford to keep up Torch. Opponent on a blue control deck, drew into a Thoughtseize. Still gonna play the Harvester here. It's a bit more mana efficient. Although if this is a blue-red deck, I guess we could have Thoughtseized the Steel Cutter before they can cast it. Although I usually don't see Hull in those decks. So mono-blue so far. So we'll start by attacking. I don't really want to bargain into 2 mana. So can either just sack a blood token and then next turn go Thoughtseize plus bargain. Or we can Thoughtseize now. Yeah, maybe Thoughtseizing now is fine, although it doesn't guarantee that bargain will resolve next turn, since I could have multiple cheap counterspells. Opponent's gonna use the Prankster, so it might be more of a graveyard combo deck, or I guess a blue-red Lotus combo deck. Nope, it is still Steel Cutter Phoenix, so they fail to find the red mana. They have Floodmaw as interaction for my Goyf, so that's probably what I have to take. And then could sack the blood token now. Maybe I draw into another Thoughtseize. Alright. Pass it back. They found red mana, so now they get to go Cutter into Sleight of Hand, find to Torch, even though it's the perfect answer to the Arclight Phoenix. And fine if they want to hardcast it. But yeah, next turn they get to maybe go off with double Cutter. So this is kind of my window for Demonic Bargain, get the Goyf, although without Double Strike and Trample, the Goyf isn't all that threatening, is a problem. Yeah, reconfiguring also probably not the best. Could also bargain for another bargain, but that doesn't really get us anywhere. Yeah, tough spot. I think I still get the Goyf, and then just hope to draw a Battle Rage or another bargain. So we still have 1 Battle Rage left. Still 3 bargains. Could also get the Unholy Annex since we have a demon, but that seems slow. Do they have another cantrip? They can just impulse the Harvester now. Alright, so I might have 1 or 2 turns to top deck. The Goyf is large, so they will have to respect it. Although they can also channel Otawara to bounce it. Lightning Axe the Blade. Trigger Cutter a bunch. So just go to top deck, Temur Battle Rage, or the 3 remaining bargains. Don't really have a better option. Well, sometimes you gotta get lucky. Can pay for Spell Pierce, so unless their last card is another Into the Floodmaw, we might get there. Alright, I'll take it. On to the next one. Okay, we're on the draw. We've got a keepable hand. Would of course love to find a demonic bargain for Cosmogoyf, but we've got some other good 3-drops, so just finding a third land goes a long way. Opponent on Leyline of the Guild Pact into Elvish Mystic, so this is a green devotion deck. So I don't want to let them untap with the Mystic, so we can just push it. And then double Harvester into Fable offers the most interaction. But we'll see. If they have a Nykthos, they get to generate a lot of mana thanks to the Leyline. And this turn I'm unable to answer the Ladder Elves, so they can already ramp out something big. So now the question, do we play Cosmogoyf? So we can maybe bargain next turn, already present a lot of damage. And by getting Battle Rage we maybe present lethal on turn 4. Or I can play Harvester, which at the very least can answer the Elves next turn. Maybe prevent them from getting up to 5 mana for Cavalier. I mean, if we don't draw a third land, my turn's still going to be kind of underwhelming regardless. Although I can maybe use the Blood Token to find a land. So I think Harvester has more upside. Maybe we just go Harvester into another Harvester to try and slow them down. But yeah, there's Nykthos, so that's already netting them quite a lot of mana. Alright, opponent's just getting in with a lair, so they didn't have any 5 or 6 drops in hand that they wanted to cast. Found the land, so I think we do want to get Cosmogoyf in play, and then I do want to answer the Elves. And then I can use the Blood Token to maybe dig for something useful. Yeah, I'm surprised they didn't have any Curve Toppers in hand, like a Storm the Festival or a Cavalier of Thorns. So maybe their hand was all lands. There's Kiora, also pretty good with Nykthos. They probably drew that for turn, so I don't expect them to cast anything else too big. But they can untap Nykthos and then make 5 mana. Opponent passes, so the Annex is probably going to be too slow this game. Draw another one and another bargain. Alright, so we'll just bargain, and then to play it safe it's probably worth it to go after Kiora. And then grab a Battle Rage. So sadly I am missing my land drop for turn, so next turn I wouldn't be able to bargain and Battle Rage in the same turn. But hopefully one Battle Rage will suffice. Cosmogoyf is not susceptible to graveyard hate, since it thrives on cards in exile, so can't shrink it down unlike a regular Goyf. Opponent had another Kiora. That's okay. Untap Nykthos, and what's their last card? We're just attacking with a Hydra again. Alright, so we should have it here. Just casting another bargain would do it too. So I guess we can set that up. And then find another Cosmogoyf perhaps. Alright, sweet, and that'll do it. So we get to rank up. So yeah, got a lot of wins with Cosmogoyf. There's a few ways you can approach this deck, of course. The core just being Cosmogoyf, Demonic Bargain, and then ideally some cheap interaction you can cast in the early turns. But you could go in a few different directions. I tried the black-red mid-range approach of Fable, which also seems pretty good to help find the 2 combo pieces. And then you can kind of round it out with your typical red-black mid-range cards, but you can also maybe go in a slightly different direction. So I'm excited to see where Cosmogoyf plus Demonic Bargain might end up in the format, but it seems to be at least a viable option for now. So that's going to do it for today's gameplay. I want to thank you for watching, hope you enjoyed, and as always, have a nice day.